Welcome back to What If Naruto Learned Thunder Breathing. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I have absolutely no way of gauging whether this series did well or not, seeing as I'm recording this What If about 2 hours after I recorded the last one. And by 2 hours, I mean the next day. I got a little lazy, I'll admit, I'll be the first one to admit it, but it's here regardless, so just, do your thing, leave a like, and enjoy.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Picking off the story right where we had left off, we pretty much started everything off with Kakashi introducing the Chunin exams prospect to the team. Now Sasuke would immediately jump at the opportunity to participate in the Chunin exams, having just awakened his Sharingan and having, wanting to prove himself. Sakura would be willing to because obviously Sasuke said he's down, so Sakura, being the trash bag she is, would be willing to do anything for her Sasuke-kun. But Naruto's a whole different story. See, the thing with Naruto is, I just don't see him in any world agreeing to this. It would kind of be similar to the situation where Tanjiro and Inosuke were wanting to go up the hill with the spiders, and Zenitsu was very, very adamant of not going up there. But in the end, he finally had to because it's he kind of had to, right? And what I think would happen here is if Naruto was weak and he was claiming that he didn't want to, he would probably be like, all right, then you don't have to. But since Kakashi literally witnessed Naruto quite literally kill Zabuza right in front of him, a feat that not even he was able to accomplish without his Sharingan, it definitely shook him. And it made him realize that Naruto has so much power within himself that he just doesn't show. Power within himself that he, not even himself, is aware of. So Kakashi wants Naruto to realize this, and so he tells Naruto privately that he has to participate, telling him that to be a ninja and to grow more powerful, you have to rise to the rankings. And becoming a Chunin is just one of those ways that Naruto's gonna have to face adversity with and have to inherently overcome those walls that are put in front of him. Naruto eventually, after a bit of screaming and be like, no, I don't want to participate, no, you can't make me, would pretty much end up kind of having to join just because Sasuke and Sakura would both hate him if he didn't. And they both gave him death stares when he said he didn't want to. So he realizes either he dies in the Chunin exams or he becomes a Chunin. So he's like, whatever, I'm gonna die soon anyway, so might as well happen now and have Sakura on good terms with me at the very minimum, right? And that's pretty much what ends up happening, in which they eventually have the little exams that they do to pretty much test if all the rookies are ready. And when it comes to Naruto, what would end up happening with him is basically that when a ninja tries to pretty much attack him, he would essentially be sleeping. He's already asleep, he's not awake. And when the ninja busts into his house and he's ready to ambush Naruto would literally be sleeping. And the ninja would wonder how come he didn't wake up. Bro, any other ninja would have woken up to the slightest movement. But this kid, he just straight stayed knocked. He does not care about his life. And Naruto's sitting there just snoring, bro. And the ninja's just looking at him, and Naruto just pretty much looks at the direction of the ninja with his eyes closed, and underneath him, under the blanket, he grabs a sword and just slashes right at the guy's chest, cutting him, sending him flying to the ground. As a shadow clone would pop, and it would kind of realize that Naruto's definitely ready. Even in his sleep, he was able to defend, which the shadow clone was Iruka, and it would be very interesting for Iruka to see that. And also, just quick tangent, Iruka and Naruto don't have the same bond as in canon. It's a little different. Instead, Naruto has that kind of bond with Hiruzen, the man who trained him since he was a kid. And that's pretty much the kind of bond that he's going to be having with him. And Iruka's kind of going to be more or less an irrelevant character in this What If, but you know what I mean? Iruka's kind of irrelevant in Naruto in general, so it doesn't really matter anyways. But, regardless of that, we do jump into what happens next. And what happens next is pretty much just the culmination of everything up until now, which is pretty much just all of them making their way towards the Chunin Tower and beginning to get ready to take the exams. When they're in there, obviously we still have the encounter against Rock Lee, with him telling the Team 7 that pretty much he wants to face off against Sasuke. And the encounter essentially goes down just like it would in canon, because Naruto's power up and new abilities won't change Sasuke's power level. So he still gets folded like an omelet, And following this small interaction, Sasuke would be very, very jealous of Naruto, because if Naruto was there, Sasuke himself kind of feels as if he would have been able to handle him, just because of that speed that he was able to see Naruto use when he was fighting off against Zabuza. And due to this, he would finally snap at Naruto, asking him what he's playing at, being like, why do you act so weak when you were probably the strongest in the group? Like, why do you do that? And Naruto's like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, Sasuke, you're freaking me out. You're scaring me. Like, get away from me, right? And Sasuke's like, no, Naruto, you have more power inside you than you realize. Why won't you just be open with it and like be honest? Just use your real strength. You don't have to fake being asleep every time you do something. And Naruto looks at Sasuke and he's like, I'm not faking anything. And he like just gives him this stare that just tells Sasuke that Naruto is not lying. Like, not a single part of Naruto is inherently being malicious or having any double intent with what he's saying. So Sasuke ends up having to believe Naruto, and so they continue on with the first portion of the exam, which is pretty much just the written part, which would go just like it would in canon, leading to the interaction between Anko, Orochimaru, and Naruto, and eventually they're entering into the Forest of Death, right? Now, once they get into the Forest of Death, not really a lot would really change, honestly. He still goes after Take a Leak, and a snake does still come by and try to eat him, but Naruto, being the absolute scaredy cat that he is, would know, because he's always wary of his surroundings, and just begins to run away from the snake. Instead of like having some cool moment where he cuts the snake or something like that, he literally just begins running. He's like, no, it's a snake, right? Like, he's just running away at full speed. And eventually, he runs right in front of Sasuke and Orochimaru with this gigantic snake in front of him, and Orochimaru wondering what this kid is doing. Eventually though, Naruto would continue running away from the snake, and he would begin interfering with the battle with Sasuke and Orochimaru, to the point where Orochimaru pretty much ends up like de-summoning the snake, and Naruto would stand right in front of Sasuke, like holding his knees, like holding down as if he's tired, be like, that was scary. Right, he looks at Sasuke and he's like, so what are we? And then he senses that presence of Orochimaru, and he slightly looks up at him, and Orochimaru like sticks his tongue out and begins licking his lips, and Naruto has this face like he just seen a ghost and just falls on the ground, right? And Orochimaru looks at him and laughs, and he's like, what a pathetic loser, right? But Naruto's on the ground, and Sasuke is like looking at Naruto, sweat drop on his forehead, just thinking, Naruto, come on. I know you have the power to do something. Get us out of here, right? And so what Naruto pretty much ends up doing is like just staying on the ground. That is, until Orochimaru extends his neck, and Sasuke still isn't able to move without even piercing his leg with a kunai, just like he does in the original, and to, you know, get out of the fear. But Naruto like blitzes at him with the sword in hand, and he goes over to strike at Orochimaru's neck. The sword basically gets like halfway through, and Orochimaru uses this jutsu that pretty much makes it so that he wasn't able to get cut. Like, he used the substitution right as the sword hit the wow, I did not expect that. And so basically what happens is Naruto was able to rush at the direction of Orochimaru and just straight slash at his neck. But before he was able to completely cut the thing off, Orochimaru was able to use the substitution jutsu to barely, and I mean this, barely make it out of there. He would survive with his neck pretty much in one piece still, but it's like, it was not by a lot. Like, Naruto almost killed Orochimaru. And Orochimaru would be quite shocked at the power and speed display that this kid just showed. That was an incredible feat of strength. Not to mention, Naruto still hasn't even shown the abilities of the Nine Tails and hasn't even tapped into that ever. So that's not even something that he's even shown off yet. Could you imagine Thunder Breathing form with KCM and Sage Mode on top? Bro, the dude's basically going to be the Flash. But anyways, regardless of that, we pretty much end up having Orochimaru be like, you almost killed me, you bastard. And like Naruto just standing there in a very serious motion as he just, you know, uses a lightning style, thunder breathing, and he blitzes at Orochimaru once more, right? Orochimaru would begin getting like caught off guard, and he would have to regurgitate himself before he gets cut in half completely. And Orochimaru would actually get fairly worried at the kid. But since Naruto's already knocked out and he's not displaying the abilities of the Nine Tails, Orochimaru was like, I gotta kill this kid. But Sasuke would finally be able to react, and using a jutsu, a fire style, would be able to keep Orochimaru away just long enough for Anko to actually arrive and be able to stop the entire situation from happening. So pretty much because Naruto was able to actually scare and threaten Orochimaru just a bit, I mean, he is using levels of speed comparable to the Raikage, he would be able to actually keep up with Orochimaru just a bit, and Sasuke would be extremely impressed because he would have unlocked his two Tomoe Sharingan and one Tomoe in each eye respectively, and him being able to actually watch Naruto move would be so impressive to him because Naruto is moving with such finesse, such speed, such grace that it looks as if he's dancing. Like, it's incredible watching Naruto fight off against Orochimaru. But eventually they make their way towards the tower of the Chunin exams and have the preliminary battles being escorted by Anko, as they don't even have to face the tribulations of the Sound Squad, and Sasuke doesn't get the curse mark, and Naruto doesn't go crazy with the Kurama amp that he gets in the original. So that's something good that happens from this interaction. But apart from that, we pretty much just have the Kiba fight between Naruto and Sasuke versus the guy who can blatantly absorb chakra, right? So the guy that could absorb chakra, he does his thing, but since Sasuke doesn't have the handicap that he does in the original, Sasuke would end up taking this victory very, very easily, and it would be a very easy, difficult fight, like low diff fight, right? But for Naruto versus Kiba, I'm just going to be saying that it's going to be definitely a mid diff fight, since Naruto has access to Thunder style, or, you know, lightning style. He would be able to use jutsus along those lines. And he would use a jutsu that is pretty much the, like, he would be able to shoot a large stream of lightning, similar to what Madara does, except without the Sage mode amp, right? The 6-path Sage Senjutsu amp, and it would shoot at Kiba, and when he's using his Fang over Fang, it would just kind of like shock him into like being able to just be taken out. And Naruto would be deemed the winner of that match, leading to Hinata versus Neji, and Naruto getting extremely enraged when Neji actually ended up hurting Hinata. By the way, guys, I do apologize for hitting my mic right now. But basically, Naruto would be like, yo, like, you can't hit girls, bro. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, or at least you can't hit them that hard, right? And Neji would be like, huh, you're a simp, you know, like, just basically calling him a simp before the word simp even existed. And Naruto doesn't take too kindly to that. Let's just say Naruto's gonna be having a little bit of newfound motivation to actually get stuff done in these next Chunin exams that are about to take place. And by that, I mean the finals. So pretty much Naruto looks at Neji and he just has this determination that he has just blatantly never had before. Hinata's probably been one of the only girls that's ever been nice to him, and Naruto seeing Hinata in that state because of Neji would kind of hit something inside of Naruto, strike a chord that has never been hit before, right? And Naruto is just in this state of mind where he's like, I'm gonna train so incredibly hard that Neji is going to fear me, right? And so pretty much what happens is they go on their 1 month training period, and Naruto, instead of asking Kakashi for any training whatsoever, Naruto decides that the best way to train is to start from the basics. So he pretty much makes his way towards the Forest of Death. Yeah, I know, crazy. Naruto goes into the Forest of Death, and the reason that he's able to even muster this up is because he is essentially thinking about Hinata and about how Neji hit her, right? He's thinking about how he hit her, and he does not like this. Plus, Naruto's senses in terms of like hearing are pretty cracked, just because he's able to detect danger from even like this, like the faintest sounds ever. And you know, he's able to like stay in the Forest of Death and pretty much just sit down and meditate. And anytime that anything comes near him, he would pretty much be able to quickly just absolutely just destroy them, right? He's able to absolutely destroy them, literally. It's so incredibly powerful. Not only that, but when Zenitsu or Naruto pretty much puts his mind up to something, he is not going to be backing down from anything. Nothing at all is going to be making him back down from any single challenge. And so he would continue working on his first form, Thunderclap and Flash, and he would end up working on his sixfold, another technique that's pretty much created by the Thunderclap and Flash, which just augments his power a little bit with his dashes, right? And then we have the Eightfold, where it's pretty much still the Thunderclap and Flash, but he pretty much strikes 8 different positions while he, gauges the power of his speed and dashes, right? And then we have his, Godspeed, which is pretty much what he uses to essentially destroy things. And then we have the last form that he's going to pretty much be developing, which is going to be the 7th form, Flaming Thunder God. Except he's going to be knowing it as a 2nd form, Flaming Thunder God. It's pretty much something that he's going to be creating during the 1 month of training, because he stays in the Forest of Death through fear the entire time, in a old wrinkly shack that he finds, and he pretty much is able to conquer tons of fears, like his fear of the dark, his fear of spiders, and a lot of other fears that come and go. And the only reason he's able to do this is because the dude is pretty much fighting not for himself, but for somebody else. And this somebody else is Hinata. This is the thing that's able to push Naruto in order to finally get over these primal fears that he's had for the longest time. But regardless, what would end up happening here is we end up having a period of time where Naruto finally emerges from the forest, and it would be 1 day prior to the Chunin exams begin, right? So Naruto would stand out, and it was almost as if his leg muscles had grown. His understanding of chakra affinity would have gone through the roof, and his lightning style would have pretty much been augmented so much due to the insane training that he put himself through, right? Now, once all was said and done, he would end up making his way towards his favorite ramen shop and just kind of like smelling the aroma, in a very cartoon fashion, begin to float up in the air and like follow the smell, just because like he really wants some ramen, because over the past month he's had to capture his own food, and that kind of trained him to become more hardened in terms of like his abilities and stuff like that. So pretty much just imagine Tanjiro's type of training, but like in the Forest of Death, and that's pretty much what we get, except just fine-tune it to what Zenitsu needs, and so it's more or less leg training, because his speed needs to be insanely fast in order for him to be able to defeat Neji. So essentially, he pretty much ends up having a delicious bowl of ramen, might I add, and then making his way towards his crib, where he would just pass out for the entirety of the day and end up almost oversleeping. It's about 10 minutes before his fight starts. He grabs his kimono and he rushes towards the direction of the Chunin Tower, using his max speed and running ability to make his way over there, right? Once he arrives, he would end up realizing that the first couple of battles were already over, and now it was finally his turn for his Neji versus Naruto battle. Something inside of him would feel fear, but he would bury that deep within himself, and he would stay awake for the very first time ever. This time around, he would use a chakra lightning cloak, and it would embed itself within Naruto as the lightning would flash yellow with like yellow sparks of electricity that would just like it would crackle off of him. And Neji would look at the direction of Naruto, just being like, what is that, right? But as soon as the proctor says go, Naruto would immediately look towards the direction of Neji and say 7th form, Flaming Thunder God, as this like dragon ethereal thing would just pretty much create itself in the eyes of Neji as it comes flying in towards the direction of himself, and Naruto pierces straight into the belly of Neji at a place where it wouldn't be like exactly like death threatening, but he's not going to be able to like move or fight for the rest of the day. But as soon as Neji gets pierced, he coughs out blood and would be laying on the ground in pure agony. Naruto would have just absolutely dismantled Neji, and he would be laughing as he had just done that. It was so exciting, so exhilarating. Something about it just filled his body with this feeling of like, yes, like finally, like I was able to defeat him, right? And Neji, who would be on the ground, would just be like, ow. And Naruto looks at him with a stare of just like, you disrespected Hinata. Eventually, Hinata watching up on the stands would be very, very flattered. And Naruto looks up to Hinata, gives her the biggest smile ever. And he would say, I did it, Hinata, for you. And, you know, he walks over to her and she's like, Naruto-kun, like, thank you. And Naruto looks at her and he's like, don't worry. Thank you. Because of you, I was able to overcome a lot of fears, and I just generally feel like a new person. Kakashi comes behind Naruto and he's like, how you doing, buddy? And Naruto screams, he's like, what happened? And, you know, he sees Kakashi, and, you know, Hinata and Kakashi laugh, and they're like, still the same old Naruto that we all know and love. And Hinata would be like, there's nothing wrong with being scared of things. Being scared is what shows that you're brave, because even when you're scared, you're able to rush into the line of fire and do what has to be done. Just so you know, Naruto, I really want to say thank you for what you did for me. And, she bows down and gives him this ointment, saying that, it looks like he has a couple of bruises. Naruto would take the ointment and feel very, very happy at this, and so would pretty much look towards the direction of Hinata, give her a big smile, and walk off, being completely oblivious to the signs that are clearly pointing to the fact that Hinata is in love with him. But because I'm not going to be focusing on the ship for this what if, I don't really care about that. Anyways though, but what happens after this is the general Sasuke stuff, which is pretty much Sasuke versus Gaara, with him implementing the abilities that he would have learned with Kakashi, such as Rock Lee's taijutsu speed and abilities, and him pretty much piercing Gaara's perfect defense shell with a Chidori, just coming down looking like a complete badass, just being like, Chidori, right? And once he does this, Gaara just ends up pretty much being carried away by the Sand siblings, with Sasuke chasing after him, being like, hey yo, run me my match, y'all are not finna get away with my prey, right? And pretty much one thing leads to another, and would lead Sasuke to be in the Forest of Death, having to fight off against Kankuro, who says that he'll stay behind while Temari continues carrying Gaara, right? And what pretty much ends up happening here is Shino appears next to Sasuke and would be like, I'll take this fight. I was supposed to fight him in the Chunin exams anyways, so I want to see who could actually win. And Sasuke looks at him, nods, and Shino begins to fight off against Kankuro. The battle ends up in a draw just like in the original, and then we have the shinobi who ended up facing off against Temari. I forget who it was this time around, but you all know that somebody ends up fighting off Temari, right? Now, obviously, Temari gets taken out, and then Sasuke goes on to pretty much go find Gaara and pretty much pierce him with a Chidori about 2 times before finally resorting to his final one and having to pierce at the direction of Gaara, leading Gaara to almost actually kill Sasuke. But in a moment of desperation, Naruto would finally rush in without passing out, and using his first form, Thunderclap and Slash, he would pretty much be able to blitz at the direction of essentially Sasuke, grabbing him mid-air and throwing him on top of a tree, being like, Sasuke, what were you thinking? Your chakra levels are already low. You could have died right there if it wasn't for me. And Sasuke looks at Naruto and he's like, Naruto-kun, watch out! Naruto ends up having to dodge out of the way, but it's so easy for him because he has this Godspeed mode activated that would lead Naruto to look at Gaara and just say, fine, you want to act as if you're so strong? Fine, let's dance. And he blitzes at the direction of Gaara, cutting off all of his limbs immediately, and then hitting Gaara across the top of the head with the hilt of his blade, leading Gaara to essentially fall unconscious, and the Sand siblings to finally make their way towards Gaara's direction, leading them to pretty much carry him out of danger, and Naruto to look at them and say to never try to pretty much fight off against the Hidden Leaf Village again, right? Now, Naruto at this moment is having a current moment of just huge character development, just because his fears are almost single-handedly taken out by the Chunin exam period that he trained for 1 month, and not to mention right now, he was able to realize how much power he truly has inside of him without needing to fall asleep for the first time. It's incredible. Naruto feels extremely proud of himself, and he would be extremely happy overall at the fact that he was able to help in terms of the battle that's going on. He looks at Sasuke and asks him if he needs some help getting back to the village, and Sasuke scoffs, saying, no, loser, as he smiles and they walk towards the direction of the Leaf Village. Sasuke this time around isn't beat by Naruto because of some strange power that he always gloated, or because, Naruto was always weaker than him, but Sasuke from the very beginning, when he saw Naruto fight off against Zabuza, was able to realize that Naruto was on a completely different level, and that power within him was just hidden. It was waiting to be tapped into. Even Kakashi told this to Sasuke, that Naruto might even be more powerful than him. So his ego would kind of still be in the way, but not half as much. Regardless though, they make their way back to the village, and once there, Naruto has to pretty much sit there and bear witness to Orochimaru versus the 3rd Hokage. And he pretty much ends up punching at the barrier, being like, no, 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 let me in, right? And his attempts are futile, right? Because the Sound 4 are holding up the barrier, and Naruto just has to watch as Hiruzen falls to the ground with a smile on his face, and Orochimaru retreats alongside the Sound 4, with Naruto pretty much rushing over to the body of Hiruzen and crying over it, saying, "Gramps, how could you? You sacrificed yourself for the village. Why did you have to die?" Right? And he's like just screaming in classic anime fashion. And we pretty much cut to a black scene until eventually we cut to the funeral of the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. And in this day, we would pretty much just see Naruto feel the effects of, Hiruzen's death way harder than he does in the original. Eventually, Jiraiya would take a knock at Naruto's door and would pretty much end up informing him that his name is Jiraiya the Gallant, and that he is the guy who's going to be training him from now on. Naruto says that he's not interested in training with some random old man, and Jiraiya's like, whoa, buddy, I'm not just some random old man, I'm a sage. Like, this is the experience of a lifetime, kid. You're throwing away this golden opportunity. And Naruto is just like, I don't really care. He's still feeling sorry for himself and pretty upset at the fact that he lost Sarutobi. And Jiraiya just looks at him and says, "Kid, you're coming with me one way or the other, right?" And so he just ends up chopping the back of Naruto's neck while he was just feeling sorry for himself, right? So he's clearly not in a strong mind state, and he's kind of beginning to sort of revert back to how he was before his character development slightly. But Jiraiya drags him with him on the search for Tsunade mission, just because he wasn't able to find Naruto during the 1 month of training, which is what he was trying to do. But when he did find him, Naruto was already busy training, and so Jiraiya decided to leave him alone and not interfere with that. But now Jiraiya decided that it was about the time that Naruto learns about his heritage and about a jutsu that he could potentially teach him. 2 jutsus actually, the summoning jutsu as well as the Rasengan. And when Naruto wakes up, he pretty much sees that he's being carried by this man with white hair as he jumps off, and he's like, "What are you doing? Why would you kidnap me?" And Jiraiya's like, "Relax, kid, I'm not kidnapping you. I'm your godfather." And Naruto's like, "Godfather? What are you talking about?" Jiraiya's like, "We're family, kid. I knew your father back in the day." And Naruto's like, "Who's my father then?" And Jiraiya just simply looks down and thinks, well, Hiruzen never told him, I might as well. He looks at him and says, "Kid, your father was the fastest shinobi to have ever lived, Minato Namikaze, and it looks like you've taken up a whole lot after him with that little lightning style of yours. It seems very reminiscent to that of the 4th Raikage A's. It's incredible. Your speed and the talent that you displayed in the Chunin exams was incredible." Naruto looks at Jiraiya and he says, "Well, so my father was the 4th? And Jiraiya was like, "Yeah, he was quite the prodigy. Reminds me somewhat of you, except he wasn't half as scared of things." And Naruto, just after having this realization finally kick in that he is the son of a Hokage, he would kind of have this smile on his face saying that he's glad. But he doesn't know what that has to do with him, and Jiraiya says that, well, for now, since Hiruzen died, they need to search for another Hokage, because without somebody to lead the village, they will all fall to other great nations, and that war will be going throughout the nations and stuff like that, right? And, Naruto, after hearing that, would be like, "Fine, I'll help you, just because I don't want war to wage around the country in every day-to-day activity." Jiraiya has a smile on his face, and he also tells him that he's also here to teach him a couple of jutsus, and thus begins the training arc for learning the Rasengan and the summoning jutsu.